This is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I wanted to bring a little different topic this week, which is about surviving storms. And I think this parallel is running deep for a lot of people right now. And this was a perfect parallel to come to me because I was sitting around thinking, what shall I do on my video this this month for people? And as I was doing that, I was actually, and I'm just going to adjust there, I was actually thinking about all of this. And last week I was out on this amazing weekend running an event with some people, and here it was like 80 degrees outside. And then this week rolls around and here it is Mother's Day, and we get 9 inches of snow last night. So it's really an amusing time of year. It's highly unusual in May to be getting snow, even in a four-season territory like what I'm in. But I thought, wow, this really brought some answers for me, and this really brought some aspects to me of things that people are dealing with tremendously in their life right now. Because I get a lot of clients right now, and they're saying, Jessie, I feel like I've been beat up. I feel like I've been pushed around. I feel like the world is out to get me right now. And what happens in a spring or a late snow like this is the trees have already started to bloom. And that's where we're at in our spiritual life a lot of times. Our trees, our leaves are branching out, and we have that parallel going on in our life, that we're starting to branch out, we're starting to bloom. And then all of a sudden we get hit with this unexpected storm out of nowhere, which in our lives, our spiritual lives, physical lives, parallels in the sense of challenges and frustrations and unexpected delays and things and this sort of thing. And it's ironic it hit on Mother's Day. That has actually a lot of different significances for me. And I did get to go spend some time with my mom, but I thought, what an interesting thing to address this topic of surviving storms. And the reason I thought that was because I got to spend time with a bigger mother than my mother, my earthly mother who gave birth to me today, and that was Mother Nature. And that's a mother we don't always think about on Mother's Day. And why was I doing this? Because we had this huge storm, and I looked out my window today, and the trees were just all pulled down. The branches were touching the ground, and it just broke my heart. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the type of thing that rips me up. Here we have these beautiful trees around, and they're being damaged, and they're being hurt, and they're dying right before my eyes. And how many of us are like that tree? We're dying inside, or we have somebody around us who is dying inside right before our very eyes. And we step back and go, oh, they'll get through it. Eventually that snow will fall off of them, right? Eventually that weight will come off. They'll shake it off, right? But today I said, these trees aren't going to survive. These people aren't going to survive around me. I won't survive because we're all connected. And that tree was my life, the way I looked at it. And I looked at it and I thought, man, how many of us out there right now are feeling weighed down, just like the branches of these trees? And I got my broom out, and I went outside, and I started knocking all the snow off from all the branches that I could. And this huge parallel hit me, and I thought, how many of us sit around, and lately, especially with all the retrogrades that have been going on, and all the planetary influences, and the Grand Cross, and all of these things, how many of us have felt like we've been getting hit and smacked and beat around, and we have no clue why? We know our life was heavy, and then we're getting smacked and beat around on top of it. And it hit me, how many times is the divine coming in and stepping into our lives and doing some of these things because it can see us dying in the situations that we're in? And it might not feel good to be smacked around a little bit. It might not feel great to be hit, but it might just be what saves our life or somebody else's life. And what was amazing is I was thinking as I was doing this, I know if I get the snow off of all the branches that I can reach, so if I do all the work that I can do on myself, then the tree will remember how to move in the wind. It will remember how to flow with life again. It will remember life. And what was amazing as I did this, it started moving the tree. It started remembering it. And I thought this, and I sent that thought to the tree, and I said, you can do this. You can shift. You can change. And how many times do we need to do that to ourselves or for somebody else to remind them, you can shift, you can change, and it's going to be okay. Remember the joy. And we need to remember that right now, because so many of us are living in these spaces that are dark and they're heavy, and we're weighted down and we're breaking under the pressure, just like the limbs were breaking under the pressure of the snow. And when we get out and we shake that out a little bit, and we get some movement, and we remind ourselves, and we start to remember what it's like to live, we come back to life just like the tree. And what happened is it started shaking from the upper levels all the way down and started knocking all the snow off. And it was very interesting, because I was looking at the apple tree being destroyed. All the limbs were completely down. And as I looked around, I found that, yeah, there were a couple of branches that there was nothing I could do about. There were a couple that snapped in the process, not from my hitting them, but that were part of it. And it was a tough thing to see, because it also made me hit home, how many times do we get upset and frustrated and challenged by the fact that we haven't saved everyone around us? And I'm not talking just the healers or the massage therapists or the coaches. There's a lot of us that feel a need to save people. And it's a good reminder that we can't save everybody. And that sometimes in these storms, we're going to get broken. There's going to be a piece of us that we're going to be losing, that's going to go away, that doesn't survive it. But you know what? There's going to be a new piece of us that grows back. Just like that tree's going to grow a new limb and have new growth. And it's not about worrying about what got damaged. It's about remembering we made it. We survived the storm. And not only do we survive, we get a whole new outlook on life. We get a whole new, fresh piece of life. And that's really, really important. And as I did this, and I went up and I thought, I was so aligned with these trees. And as I started to head to my mom's today, I looked around the neighborhood, and many people had completely lost the trees altogether. And I thought, how sad is that on Mother's Day, that nobody cared enough to get out and knock the snow down to save the trees? And it hit me really hard. And I came home, and I wasn't sure what I was going to find when I get home, because the branches had bent pretty darn good on a lot of the trees. And what I found was the trees had almost completely restored themselves. And so, you know, sometimes if you've got that friend and they feel like they're smacking you upside the head with something, and it might not feel good in the moment, they might be saving your life. So take heed to that a little bit, and realize the next time you feel like you're getting beat up by a storm in your life, that you're going to come out okay, and that you can shake it off, and that there's friends around that will come and knock the snow off and help you survive. But sometimes that getting through is what's mattering. That's what's going to make a difference, because if you die and you don't shake it off, nobody gets the benefit of you. And there's only one you, and you've got something special to give this world. You've got something special to produce, just like the trees are going to produce. And you've got some new life to grow, and you're going to do it. And it was amazing to come home and to find my trees had basically restored themselves. Basically every tree, not even every tree, had lost only one branch. So remember, when you see somebody going through the storms, take a time to knock off as much as you can. Take the weight off where you can. They still have to do some of the work, but it might be just enough to trigger a memory for them of what it's like to live. And that doesn't have to cost a lot of money. That just means you care. That just means taking a moment to say, your life is important. And every life here is important, and it doesn't always feel like it. And there's challenges. But sometimes it's because we haven't let it go to start with. We haven't helped out to start with. I hope you'll keep this in mind, because it's an amazing parallel to watch. Nature is an amazing parallel, and that's why I'm using it a lot in the events that I do. If you'd like to check out more of the work I do, other videos that I've put together, I hope you'll do that. You can do it on my website, JessieAnnNicholsGeorge1.com. And take care. Many blessings.